I'm going to completely discredit the Eagles once again. I'm taking Green Bay 7 days of the week, twice on Sunday. If there's no Hurts next week,
We lose.
we're going to go back to the NFL. So we spoke about the Kansas City Chiefs earlier and how it's almost inevitable at this point that they're on their way to another championship. At least we think so.
Hmm.
I'm gonna flip the switch to the NFC. A lot of good team. The NFC's very top heavy, Derek. You got the Eagles, you got the Lions, you got the Packers, and you got the Minnesota Vikings. Who do you think after this week, where some of these games were very decisive, who do you think should be the favorite coming out of the NFC right now?
I think it's kind of obvious, but even though obviously their injuries are scary,
Hmm.
is the Lions. The
Okay.
Lions are the better team, the best team in my eyes. They beat the Vikings, they beat the Packers, which are two good teams in their division. They've they've beat the only good team that they lost to was the Bills. They lost to the Bucks this year too. That was their first loss. So I I don't see a team competing with them, honestly. Even I'm an Eagles fan. I'm saying this because even with David Montgomery falling down, Jameer Gibbs came in and did what he had to do, and he had over 130 all-purpose yards,
Yeah.
which is insane. It just shows like that even with a running back, a big player on your team coming down, it doesn't affect your offense. And that was one thing that we said in last week that we were worried about. So I don't see anyone beating them in general.
So I think the obvious answer here is yes, the Lions should be the favorites in the NFC, right? I'm going to completely discredit the Eagles once again. I've been saying it all year. They're playing good football, but I swear to God, I just still don't trust Sirianni when it comes to a playoff game. I think he's just bound to fuck it up. And that's just my opinion, right? I've watched a lot of Eagles games this year as a Giants fan. You obviously have watched all of them as an Eagles fan. It's just so hard to trust him when it comes to playoff games because he makes such stupid decisions. And if I'm taking Eagles versus Lions, I'm taking Dan Campbell all day, every day, right? So that's my one caveat here. I will say though, as the year has gone on, especially over like the last 3 weeks, there are two teams that like you watch their games and they're scary, and you do not want to play them in the playoffs. First and foremost, it's the Packers for me. They have not only won, but they have killed teams the last few weeks, right? They've had some pretty impressive wins. Jordan Love is looking like the guy. LaFleur is really coaching his ass off. You have an offense clicking on all cylinders, and not to mention, I get it, right? They play the piece of shit New Orleans Saints this past week with Spencer Rattler and their injuries just completely decimating them. But they did shut him out.
Yeah,
The only thing that'll hurt Green Bay is they're not going to have home advantage.
exactly.
So they're going to be a scary team to play, but outside of Lambeau, their scariness kind of dissipates, right? The other team that I think is scary, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we can debate a little bit. It's a team that's not really on a lot of people's radars, but it's the Rams.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
The Rams frighten me, man. Sean McVay's been here before. We talked about this in previous weeks. They survived the beginning of the year with so many injuries, and now they're just clicking on offense. Their offense is dynamic with Stafford, Puka, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. They really look great. And then on the defensive side of the end, they're just smothering teams. Right? It's a scary team to play, especially when you know you're going to be playing them in a wild card round. And one of the top two, three teams is going to be playing them. So it's either going to be the Eagles or it's either going to be the Seahawks playing them. And that would scare because the Seahawks are in first right now, I believe, right? Or is it the Rams? I think pretty sure
The Rams are in
I'm
first. The
pretty
Rams are in first.
I'm pretty sure they're tied, but things can change. Obviously, yes, they're tied, but the Rams are technically in first. I scratch that. They're not tied. Rams are in first by a game, but the Rams are going to be playing one of the wild card teams, like a Minnesota, like a Green Bay, and the winner of that is a scary team to play in the playoffs, second round.
Oh, 100% agree. I 100% agree. It's because, as what you said, the Rams survived. Them surviving those early season, no Puka, no Cooper Cup, and was just pretty much Stafford, Kyron, and then the backups. They still stood through, and now they're in front of their division. This is the only caveat of the team is their defense, which
Yeah.
is they've showed that they give up a lot of points, but they do win the games.
Yeah.
The only game that they lost to that made them look bad was the Eagles game, because the Eagles just ran all over them. If they're able to stop the run, and their pass defense is slowly but surely getting better,
Yep.
they could easily take out a 30 seed, a 2 seed, or even if they get the 5th seed. Yeah, if they get the 5th seed, they could be the 4th seed.
Yeah, well, as of right now, because if they'd win the division, and as of right now, how it stands, Detroit is going to get that number one overall seed and the bye. Them winning the division ahead of whoever's in the South, because the South is probably going to be in that 4 seed. So the Rams would get the 3 seed, and they would play most likely a Minnesota or a Green
That's a
Bay.
good game. That's a
Which
good
would
game.
be yeah, which would be an insane game to start off the playoffs. And that's the one thing that I always had an issue with Green Bay is because they're not going to get home field advantage, right? If the Rams play Green Bay in Green Bay, I'm taking Green Bay 7 days of the week, twice on Sunday. But because it's going to be in LA, that scares me because Stafford is going to be good in a dome. Stafford's going to be good in warm weather. It's just it's going to playoffs are going to be fun in the NFC, and I truly don't think there's going to be like a massive favorite in the NFC because of how close a lot of these teams are. But I'm glad to see we're on the same page at where at least we think the Lions are still the team to beat.
Yes, and this is one thing I will say is that this is a little bit of bias talking, but I think that the two stadiums that you don't want home field advantage in is Detroit, obviously the number one seed, and or the
Hmm.
Eagles. The
Yeah.
the crazy thing is that the Eagles win these two next 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and the Lions lose their next 2 weeks. The Eagles are in first place,
Yes.
and in my opinion,
Not gonna happen.
what?
It's not gonna
Well,
happen.
the only reason why I'm saying that it could happen is that the Lions don't have an easy last 2 weeks.
I get it. No, all right, let's calm down on that. The 49ers have almost we're getting to the point where they are an easy matchup.
All right, but I'm not saying the Niners. I'm saying like their last week of the season is huge.
I- Yeah, the Vikings. I get it.
So it's very possible. And don't the Lions did lose to the Niners last year to go to the Super Bowl. They did choke.
They did, but on the same side of things, you can't say that the Eagles are two sure wins if Hurts is out this next week.
Oh
The
no,
Cowboys,
I agree. I'm just
the
saying. I was
Cowboys
just
have
saying in general.
proven, yeah, but the Cowboys have proven where they can at least play spoiler. They're not going to make the playoffs,
No,
but with no Hurt, if there's no Hurts next week,
we lose.
I think there's a good chance that the Eagles may lose that game.
I agree. No, I 100% agree. Because
But
we
on the
let's
same side, on the same side of things, they have no chance. The Eagles are going to railroad the Giants in the last week too.
yeah. Hopefully Saquon will break the record.
Yeah.
All right. I think the overall point is that the Lions will take the NFC in both of our opinions.
Okay. Cool. Cool. We're gonna move on.